This month our focus is kicking from the clinch, and I thought I'd break that down and explain it for students and maybe some parents who aren't familiar with sport Taekwondo so that you can see what we're doing and make sense of it. So first of all, we have a specific type of sparring that we practice that falls under sport Taekwondo, and it has a rule set which makes it a unique type of sparring or fighting. So in this rule set, you can't punch to the face, you can't grab, and you can't throw. So there's certain things that might look a little bit unusual, but that can work really well within this given rule set for the sport of Taekwondo. So a clinch, the way we define it, is usually just moving up real close to your opponent, where it's difficult for them to kick you, at least with a powerful kick. Oftentimes, it's intelligent to put the hands out almost like you're giving them a hug, because the number one threat from the clinch is that crescent kick coming up and catching the person in the head unexpectedly. So we're working on a few techniques from here. First, we're looking at just getting to the clinch. So one example is just throwing a roundhouse kick and really get tight where you're in that clinch position so they can't counter kick you. Now, if you are the shorter fighter, or if you have shorter legs than your opponent, it can be really good to try to work to get toward that clinch. Why? Because your legs being shorter will be able to kick from a closer range than they'll be able to kick you. So shorter fighters, if there's a height disparity, getting to that clinch can be advantageous. Now, this is not something that I specialize in. I tend to have longer legs than a lot of the people I spar with, so I haven't developed this skill as well as some of the shorter students here. But here are the techniques that we're looking at. So there's the tight roundhouse kick. So a formal roundhouse kick, we turn the hip over. We hit with a parallel angle to the floor. That's not always going to work up close. If I try to turn my hip all the way over, you can see that I don't have room to do this roundhouse, but I can do kind of a short, ugly, and dirty roundhouse from in here that still hits with the top part of the foot, so you can still score without rolling that hip over. So we're looking at shortening the roundhouse kick where the leg comes up at a tight angle. This can be really useful if you're in that clinch. As soon as you feel that gap with you and your opponent, you can throw that roundhouse kick to fill the gap. Then, of course, as I mentioned earlier, there's the crescent kick, both inside and outside. So if we go from the outside in, it's here. If we go from the inside out, it's here. And that can also turn into a heel down or axe kick. So if I'm in my clinch and I'm looking for a head kick, that outside in crescent kick can be really good, especially coming over the shoulder where it's more difficult for your opponent to see it. So from up close, I can look at it coming up with the head and kicking my opponent. The other direction, the inside out, will come up around that same angle, but you can come down on the head, kind of like a heel down kick or axe kick, or straight across. Or you can come straight across, depending on how they're standing. All of these are going to be useful from in tight. Those are the kicks we're working on this month.